Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. And if you're a true General Hospital fan, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started with today's video. General Hospital, GH, spoilers for the next 2 weeks, July 27th to August 7th, indicate that some threats and other bold measures will result in some thrilling episodes. Here's what spectators should expect as the action heats up. Britt Westbourne, Kelly Thiebaud, will whack Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, in the face when he asks if they may talk at General Hospital during the week of July 27th to 31st. It appears that Britt's plan is to turn Jason become a patient so that they can talk in an exam room. Across town, Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, will make a deal with Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, for the black box, giving Brennan the ability to assist Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watros, and Willow Kane, Caitlin McMullen, with Drew Kane's Cameron Matheson dirt. Of course, there will be complications with the Drew scenario because Nina just rolled him in the water. Giovanni Palmieri, Giovanni Mazza, will eventually rescue Drew and, if necessary, resuscitate him. Willow will be freaked out by Harrison Chase's Josh Swickard attempt to send her to the PCPD for interrogation regarding her Jen Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda connection. When Willow discovers Nina threw Drew into the water, she'll have another cause to be concerned about what he might leak. However, Brennan's evidence of Drew's misappropriation of finances may provide Willow with the necessary power just in time. Meanwhile, Trina Robinson, Tabiana Ollie, and Emma Scorpio Drake, Braden Bruner, will meet with Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, who Emma will quiz about her WSB agent status. Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, and Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bernard, will regroup with Jason and fill him up on some of the events that have occurred in Port Charles. Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, will have a reunion of her own with Jason, but Peter August, Wes Ramsey, may once again return in hallucination form and pressure Anna to focus on her revenge scheme. Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, actions will then perplex Jacinda Bracken, Paige Herschel. Michael will also demonstrate his new abilities at deception, where Serena Baldwin, Kelly Kruger, will become entangled when she returns to town on July 30th. On July 30th, a mysterious businessman named Hudson, Troy Lennon Appel, will arrive in Port Charles with a specific aim. Hudson appears to be pursuing Ethan Lovett, Nathan Dean, therefore Ethan is preparing to flee PC. Trina and Kai Taylor, Jens Austin Astrup, will misinterpret Drew's near-drowning drama. Will Trina and Kai presume Willow tried to kill Drew again because they know she is a shooter? Sonny will ultimately invite Jason to come meet with him and may perhaps have an assignment for him. Will Jason turn down the task now that he is focused on Danny Morgan, Asher and Tonizan, and wants to be a good father above all else? That could suggest Jason's mob exodus is on its way, so keep that in mind. Jason will also have some disagreements with Rick Hurst, because he does not trust him as much as Sonny does. With the park, Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, will assist Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, with her softball league tournament preparations. The week of August 3rd to 7th may make Rick Hurst, jealous because he will realize how close Liz and Dante are growing. Rick's possessive side may become more apparent, and he may revert to his troublemaking inclinations if he is not careful. That might spell terrible news for Rick and Elizabeth's romance. Meanwhile, Trina Stalker will continue to monitor her, which could lead to some frightening events. Is Quinn, Jequin Jackson, the stalker or only a red herring? Could Simon Grady Eldridge, a music executive, or someone else be fixated on Trina? Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, will be concerned about Drew's ordeal at the lake. Drew may say it was an accident if he is silenced by the blackmail evidence, but he will eventually recover miraculously from his fake stroke. Alexis will be concerned about changes in Scout Quartermain's, Caden Brenna Tokarczy, access, and will finally lose the act when it comes to getting along with Willow. Finally, Alexis and Diane Miller, Carolyn Hennessy, are about to employ a new associate at their law firm, which will change things up for several Port Charles residents. General Hospital spoilers predict the following 2 weeks will be action-packed, so stay tuned. Port Charles is about to enter one of its most chaotic periods in recent memory, as blackmail schemes tighten their grip, long-buried secrets emerge, and characters across the canvas engage in increasingly troubling behavior that shatters families, friendships, and careers. Over the next 2 weeks, the complex webs of deception enveloping Drew Kane, Nina Reeves, Valentine Cassadine, Willow Tate, and countless others will unravel, leaving massive messes that no one can easily clean up. From desperate pleas and physical confrontations to high-stakes trades involving incriminating evidence, the drama promises to leave almost no one unscathed. The blackmail drama revolves largely around the long-awaited black box, which has become the hottest commodity in town. Valentine Cassadine, never one to pass up an opportunity for leverage, has already taken a bold step by acquiring the item after it vanished from Windermere. With the box in his possession, he prepares for a huge trade that might shift several power dynamics. Jack Brennan, the WSB operative whose own secrets are at peril, is compelled to negotiate. Valentine makes a proposal that Brennan cannot simply refuse: return the black box in exchange for specific concessions that would help Valentine's position and potentially free up resources or safeguards he sorely requires. Brennan's assent to the terms triggers a chain reaction. The evidence in the box includes information that could ruin Drew Kane's remaining credibility and reveal the web of coercion he has created around those closest to him. Nina Reeves and Willow Tate have the potential to gain access to this material, but the path to doing so is anything from clear. Both ladies spiral under the pressure as they wait for the trade to be completed, their worry manifesting in increasingly unpredictable decisions that only add to the chaos. Nina's recent actions have already resulted in a literal and figurative tragedy. After confronting Drew and learning that the blackmail evidence she hoped would keep him in check had evaporated along with the effects of the paralytic medication that once held him immobile, she reacted with pure instinct. In an outburst of rage and panic, she pushed Drew's wheelchair into the lake. The effects of one desperate act have an immediate rippling effect. Gio Palmieri, encouraged to swim by Brooklyn Quartermain, is likely to come across the drowning man and go into lifeguard mode. Nina stands on the dock, screaming Drew's name, the agony of what she has done pouring over her as she reaches out to Jack Brennan for assistance. The blackmail material she so urgently sought is now linked to Valentine's trade, and the realization that her own violent impulse may have irrevocably altered the environment makes her unmoored. Her disturbing behavior, once carefully calculated manipulations, has evolved into something more primal and dangerous, and those around her no longer know what she will do next. Willow's situation is equally perilous, with its own kind of unsettling behavior. Facing rising pressure from the PCPD over the Sidwell inquiry, she is cornered when Harrison Chase arrives with inquiries. Rather than cooperate, Willow makes a brazen request that illustrates how far she is willing to go to protect herself. She wants Chase to simply claim he was unable to find her. The plea is an obvious attempt to impede justice, and it puts Chase in a difficult situation. His devotion to his career clashes with any personal feelings or professional background he shares with her. Willow's willingness to ask a law enforcement official to lie on her behalf exemplifies a pattern of behavior that has become increasingly hazardous over time. Her previous schemes, which involved medical records and family custody disputes, established her as someone capable of breaking significant ethical lines. Drew now has blackmail proof against her, which could save her life, but her own actions threaten to sever that line before she can grasp it. The mess she makes by attempting to avoid questions just deepens the legal and personal quicksand that surrounds her. Meanwhile, Drew Kane's recuperation from his locked-in state continues to be chaotic. He was formerly immobile and forced to listen helplessly as others discussed plans involving him, but he is now regaining mobility and, with it, a desire for retribution. The blackmail material he once had against Portia Robinson, Nina, Brennan, and others has either been compromised or is being used in the black box negotiations. His regained physical ability means that drugs and solitude can no longer keep him under control. Willow's neatly maintained floors, both literal and metaphorical, are about to be wrecked as Drew resumes movement and asserts authority. His worrisome resolve to pay back scores adds a new dimension of menace to those who thought they had him under control. The chaos he is about to create will not be limited to one home. It threatens to spill over into the larger power conflicts between the Corinthos and Cassadine groups. Jason Morgan's return from his father-son excursion with Danny introduces another combustible factor. The man who returns to Port Charles is not the same one who went. Prison and subsequent events have transformed his objectives, and he begins to reveal shocking revelations to people closest to him. His reunion with Britt Westbourne is far from tender. Instead of a romantic reconnection, the encounter becomes violent as Britt reacts angrily, giving a smack that demonstrates the extent of her hurt and disillusionment. Jason's decisions about his future seem to leave little place for the relationship they once had, and Britt's outburst is the first obvious breach in what will become a far greater emotional mess. Jason's interactions with Carly, Sonny, Tracy, and others further undermine established alliances. He is knowledgeable about previous cover-ups, including the truth about the Cullum shooting, and his willingness to speak openly encourages others to confront their own complicity. Sonny, who is already dealing with the consequences of Rocco's involvement in the shooting and the ensuing protection Jason gave, must determine how to deal with the fresh attention Jason's return will bring. The web of secrets surrounding that incident threatens to emerge at the worst conceivable time. Valentine's blackmail-related maneuvering goes beyond the black box. His determination to retain his relationship with Carly and access to Charlotte puts him at odds with almost everyone involved in the Spencer and Corinthos families. Carly finds herself holding secrets from him even as she defends their relationship, causing internal conflict that Sonny is only too willing to exploit. Sonny's continued efforts to destroy the Valentine-Carly relationship include carefully crafted material and strategic pressure. The resulting mess is one of changing loyalties and emotional manipulation, leaving Carly divided between her love and the practical risks of siding with a man who has so many powerful enemies. Lulu's complex feelings toward Valentine and their daughter exacerbate the tension. Every communication has the potential to exacerbate the broader calamity. Troubling behavior is not limited to the main characters. Michael Corinthos begins expressing his dominance in ways that perplex Jacinda and others. His conversations indicate a colder calculation than previously, raising doubts about what he has learned and how he plans to apply it. Alexis is thrown off by events that drive her to reconsider alliances. Trina and Kai jump to assumptions that could harm relationships before the complete truth is revealed. Ava Jerome opens up to Ethan Lovett about some intentions and wants, but the confession itself has the potential to add new issues given Lulu's previous warnings. The electrifying spark between Ava and Ethan is already overshadowed by the realization that it will not continue and that Ethan's own fragile condition will compel him to flee. The Quartermain family is shaken by news about Gio, which exposes long-held assumptions. Tracy is caught off guard by unexpected circumstances, and her reactions spread across the household. Brooklyn's previous plans, especially Willow-related frame-up attempts, continue to cause problems even as she struggles to deal with the ramifications of Lucy's involvement and the financial demands that have already cost her major power at deception. The jumble of opposing ambitions inside that family shows no indication of resolving neatly. Anna Devane's return to the PCPD as commissioner adds a fresh dimension to the law enforcement aspect of these tales. Her reconnection with Jason is personal, and her personnel actions, including potential opportunities for Chase to re-establish his professional reputation, will have an impact on the outcome of the blackmail and obstruction trials. Serena Baldwin's entrance in town coincides with Lucy's need for assistance, adding another emotional thread to an already dense tapestry. Ethan receives startling personal news, which he must subsequently impart to Lulu, keeping the Spencer family in the middle of the chaos. The common thread running across these narratives is how blackmail and the fear of exposure push characters to progressively desperate methods. The black box signifies more than just physical evidence. It is a symbol of the many participants' attempts to keep control over each other. When that control is exchanged, contested, or lost, the consequences are both practical and significant. Careers are threatened, marriages and love relationships strain under the weight of secrets, and the distinction between protector and predator becomes blurred. Nina's lake mishap, Willow's need for a cover-up, Valentine's high-stakes negotiation, Drew's approaching move, and Jason's unfiltered confessions all contribute to a single wide calamity that will take much longer than 2 weeks to fix. The following fortnight in Port Charles will put every important connection to the test, forcing characters to face the repercussions of their most troublesome decisions. Blackmail, which originally appeared to be a valuable tool, has evolved into a weapon that slashes in all directions. The massive disasters left in its wake, ruined reputations, broken trust, physical danger, and emotional devastation, will define the summer and lay the groundwork for far larger battles to come. Viewers should expect few quiet moments as the pressure builds and several major players' carefully constructed facades finally crumble under the weight of their own lies. In Port Charles's expansive drama, the following 2 weeks promise a cascade of secrets, power plays, and emotional devastation that will leave several important players racing for control. What starts as quiet desperation gradually turns into open blackmail, disturbing decisions, and situations so complicated that no one comes out clean. The air itself appears thick with tension as long-simmering schemes collide with unexpected truths, forcing characters to confront the repercussions of their own disturbing behavior. At the core of the upheaval is Nina Reeves' tenuous alliance with her daughter Willow. For weeks, the couple has walked a perilous line, relying on Drew Kane's silence and compliance thanks to a carefully maintained medical hold. The paralytic that has kept him trapped inside his own body is running out, and with it, their leverage. Drew has overheard much too much during his imposed silence, including discussions regarding cover-ups, WSB agents, traffic camera footage, and the extent both women have gone to defend their positions. When he regains full mobility and voice, the blackmail dynamic reverses. He has the power to destroy both of them, and they are aware of this. That knowledge sends Nina into a state of complete fear. After discovering that the key proof she and Willow needed, the contents of a black box long sought from Windermere, had slipped through their fingers, she finds herself alone on the pier with Drew. When he finally speaks, the sound of his voice shatters what little control she still has. In a fit of instinct and terror, she unlocks the wheelchair and propels him into the lake. The deed was neither planned nor clean. It is the raw product of a woman who has exhausted all other options and can't bear the thought of the secrets he keeps. The immediate question of whether Drew survives the drop will dominate the next days, but the greater issue is already clear. Nina has passed a boundary from which there is no easy return. Willow's reaction is no less frantic. Faced with the same crumbling timeframe, she rushes to Jack Brennan with a desperate appeal for new identities and a flight out of town. When that plot threatens to unravel, she puts Chase in an untenable situation, asking him to look the other way and report that he couldn't find her. The request reveals how far her moral compass has slipped. Once a lady who prided herself on integrity, Willow now considers truth as optional and loyalty as a weapon. Her eagerness to drag Chase into the cover-up exacerbates the chaos around the congressional office, the ongoing inquiry into the Sidwell case, and the precarious custody arrangements that still loom over her children. Meanwhile, the black box becomes the focus of a quiet but brutal discussion. Valentine Cassadine has taken custody of it, realizing its usefulness as pure leverage. He approaches Brennan with a trade proposal: surrender the evidence in exchange for certain concessions that preserve Valentine's and Charlotte's interests. The transaction is professional, almost businesslike, but it has the distinct aroma of blackmail. Brennan is forced to assess the cost of retrieving the proof against the payment Valentine demands. Nina and Willow sit on the sidelines, their destinies hanging on the outcome of a deal made by men who have no motive to prioritize their protection. When the box eventually changes hands, the relief is just temporary. The proof may temporarily neutralize Drew, but it also ties Nina closer to Brennan, a man whose methods and motivations remain dubious. Their growing personal engagement only confuses the situation, making a professional arrangement even more intimate and hence perilous. Jason Morgan's return to Port Charles introduces a completely other type of disturbance. Jason glides through town like a man ready to reset every relationship on his own terms, fresh off his time with Danny, and yet carrying the weight of previous imprisonment and cover-ups. The bombshells he drops are not limited to one conversation. He seeks out Sunny, Carly, Britt, Tracy, and Anna in turn, bringing knowledge that causes each of them to reconsider their relationship with him and one another. Britt's reaction is particularly harsh. The reunion she has longed for arrives without warmth or apology, leaving her reeling. Carly finds herself holding secrets from Valentine even as she deals with Jason's new priorities. Sonny obtains information that changes his intentions for Valentine and the ongoing consequences from the Cullum shooting. The cumulative result is a succession of emotional aftershocks that spread outward, weakening previously secure partnerships. Michael Corinthos, never one to pass up an opportunity, detects the shifting ground and seeks to exert greater influence. Having recently purchased major shares in Deception, he begins to use his newfound authority in ways that disturb others around him. Whether his efforts are merely commercial or intended to produce a specific conclusion involving Willow and Chase is purposely vague. What is evident is that Michael's brutality has increased. He confuses Jacinda, throws Alexis off balance, and establishes himself as a force that cannot be ignored. Michael's desire to play hardball adds another element of uncertainty to an already secretive society.